You join us at the inaugural run of the brand new parade coming to Meanderville, Wondrous. And just look at these incredible floats. Don't they look wonderful, June?
Fabulous, Harry. I love the feathers.
Let's take a look behind the scenes and see how these floats were made. Hello, you. Welcome to Geekism, and welcome back to Planet Coaster 2, and welcome to the Parade Pack. That's right, a few days before you even get your hands on it, I think. Thank you so much to Frontier for letting us have an early look at this and being able to put this stuff out for you now. This is awesome. I'm not even going to bury the lead. Best DLC ever. The parades are absolutely fantastic. They are so much fun to build. I won't lie, it did take me a minute to get into the vibe. It did take me a little minute to figure out what makes a good parade float. I think what makes something that looks like a realistic parade float. We'll talk about that more in a little while. But you saw the first couple of floats and cars and stuff that are going to be part of Meanderville's actual daytime parade, which is going to be called Wondrous, a play on wonder, because wonder is meander and wonder and wondrous, and it doesn't happen by accident, this stuff, folks. So looking forward to fleshing this out over the coming weeks and months. The plan will be to basically, every time we sort of box off an area in the park, we come back to this parade and add a float for the area. So as we finish up Zephyrberg, we'll come back and do a real arcane punk, steampunk float, and so on and so forth. So here, what you saw so far is just the start of the float. I really wanted to use the new mascot. I think he's fantastic. I think he totally fits Meanderville. So we're going to have the Mayor Pipwhistle sort of bringing in, and I kind of, he looked very band leadery, and that sort of made sense to me to have all the instruments. It's very much based off of a Mickey Mouse parade float for Sensation of Sound, I think it was called, where Mickey's playing the drums. I'll throw a picture up. It was really great. And so I based it off there, and then we had some of the little cars going round, and now we're working on the actual sort of proper first float of an area, and that is Astralore. So for those of you who haven't seen it, Astralore is my Symbolica at Efteling style or inspired dark ride. It makes a lot of use of the sorcery pack. It was the build I did to showcase sorcery, basically. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's probably one of the best things I've done. It also features a complete custom score by Meanderville's composer Alex. Talking of which, he's working on a parade bit of music as we speak. He sent me a demo of the first bit the other day. It sounds amazing. It sounds Euro and cheesy and clap your hands and stamp your feet and everything you expect from a parade song. It's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to share it with you all. That will be going into this at some point too. But this is the Astralore float, and so wanted to get the wizard in there, wanted to get the monkey in there, who is our sort of mascot that runs through the ride and provides a bit of a sort of narrative point to the ride, and really want to just play around with the parade pieces, figure out what's happening with them, what we can do with them, what we can't do with them. Unfortunately, there was a fairly serious bug in the pre-release build that all of us creators got. I'm assuming other creators have had this trouble as well, because when I mentioned it to the Frontier and when I mentioned it to the Frontier team, they were like, "Yeah, we know, sorry." And it was a bug around the entertainer points, so the little places that you can put down on these floats to generate an entertainer. Once you put them down, if you tried to do anything else to them, the game would just straight up crash, like straight to desktop crash, like crazy stuff. Luckily, they've got a fix for that, and it will be coming with the release build, so you folks shouldn't have to deal with that. But it has been quite fun trying to, because I wanted to do the entertainers on these things, but you have to kind of put the entertainer down and be like, okay, never touching that again. It's been fun to do. But just the implementation of the entertainer points, all of the scenery is fantastic. It all scales incredibly well. It all lights up at night. They've just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I know I sound like I'm gushing, but I kind of gushed a little bit in my overview video of this the other day, and that was based on like a 20-minute video we watched, where they can cut out any bad bits and only show us the good bits, and whereas this is actually now I've put, at this point, 20-30 hours into these parades, and I've just had a smile on my face the whole time. They've been so fun to do, and it's been a real great sort of change of pace a little bit. I wasn't necessarily burnt out with Planet Coaster, but I was at the point where I was like, do you know what, I'm happy to kind of wait for a DLC now, because also Paralives came along as well, which did pretty good, and that's also, and I have more Paralives videos coming, by the way, but so I wanted to sort of hit the ground running with that a little bit, and I knew that parades were, or I knew that a DLC was coming at least for Planet Coaster. I was like, I'm happy to kind of put this just on the back burner just for a couple of weeks whilst we take a look at some other stuff and we wait for some new toys, and my goodness, what fun toys they are. So it's been really nice to get back into the game, but then also try something that I haven't really done before, the parades. What I've kind of figured out playing around with these for the last few days, the parades allow you a level of whimsy and goofiness and over-the-top nature that you just don't get if you're trying to do any sort of like realism build, even for very high budget theme parks, where you really sort of spend as much money as you like, basically, in the world of the park that you're building. There's still, everything has to be very grounded. You have to really pay attention to things like color, like texture, like space, like negative space. What I've gathered from parades is, whilst obviously, all of that design stuff still follows over to an extent, there are certain areas of it that just don't need to apply or apply to the same extent. You can be bright, you can be garish, you can pack stuff in. Everywhere you look, there's a twinkly light or a little bit of metal filigree or a flag or some bunting or balloons. These things just have stuff everywhere, and it's so fun just to keep putting stuff down and just looking, sort of zooming out, looking at it and going, nope, needs more stuff, and go back and add more. I will say this, I've watched a lot of parades over the last few weeks, since I found out that this pack was going to be parades. I've been watching them online to kind of get an idea of what they are, and this is one of those things, I think, where Disney are in they're in a category of one with these things. The Disney parades are leaps and bounds above anything else I can find. Hey, Editor John T here. Just wanted to point out that when I'm referring to Disney as some of the best parades, I really am just looking at the theme park world. Obviously, in doing some research for this, I looked at a lot of beautiful parades that happen outside of theme parks for annual events, things like the Rio Carnival in Brazil, Mardi Gras in New Orleans, and obviously those are incredible as well. But I'm just talking here about the day-to-day, coming out at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock parades at theme parks. Disney are real class. Now, I'm assuming and hoping that people in the comments will be like, oh, well, you have to go and watch, and then give me some random, parade from a European theme park I've never heard of. But everything I can find online, I've watched multiple Disney parades, Universal parades. I've watched some of the parades from places like Dollywood and Knott's Berry Farm. I've watched a lot of European parades, Europa Park, lots. I've been consuming this for a long time now. We're getting ready for this to get some inspiration. And yeah, the Disney, when you think of what a parade is and what a great parade looks like, and let's be honest, what the Planet Coaster developers are probably basing their designs off and expecting us to do with them, you're thinking of a Disney parade, because they have these incredibly detailed floats. They're all beautifully decorated. The characters know exactly what they're doing on all of them. They fluidly move between bits of business and dance routines. The music loops and plays as the parade moves past, and you'll sort of see people wave and laugh and joke with each other and chat with each other and point down at kids dressed the same as them. But the second the chorus hits in, bam, 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 they go back to the dance routines. It's so satisfying to watch. It really is an art unto itself, honestly. So I've had a load of fun looking at them. It's absolutely filled me chock full with inspiration. And yeah, I've had a lot of fun putting these together. So I'm actually going to be showing you 3 parade floats today. The first one here is the one we're working on, the Astralore one. A lot of fun with this, sort of getting little bits of nuance of the build itself. So luckily, the Astralore build kind of fits well with the new theming items we got for parades. There's a lot of sort of iron filigree already. Obviously, those beautiful windows, flags and things we can add everywhere. So I think it works quite well for this, ties itself in quite nicely. The other thing I noticed about the sort of design of parade floats is that they, as much as they can, they're very sort of light in their framing. So a lot of detail is created out of framing structure, out of sort of metal or what looks like metal framing, as much as they can. If you think about the dragon, for instance, at a few of the Disney parades now, the Maleficent dragon, it's not a complete full animatronic structure. You can see each individual plate of scale on its arm. Its body is open and it's a space to walk around with. I think that is partly a design choice, but also I think it's probably, I imagine, something to do with the mechanics of the parade. The more stuff you put on these things, the heavier they become, and they've got to be pulled along by a little sort of electric engine inside them, I imagine. So it makes sense that that you try and use like gappy iron and gappy metal and space to your advantage when building this sort of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, they also still just have a lot of fiberglass, and that's fine for making larger structures. Here, what you're looking at here, I talk about being dainty, and what I'm building here is just massive. So, there's a compromise. But this in part was because I just couldn't really think of a good thing to have the monkey appear in. I didn't just want him sort of standing there. Obviously, he's not an entertainer; it's an animatronic. So, I wanted to kind of come up with a space that he could fit in and look good. And there's this new glass orb. Is incredible. What an amazing piece. Look at that. A beautiful round glass orb. It scales really well. I mean, I have a scaling mod now, so I'm not too sure what it scales like in real life, I'm afraid. But I think it looks fantastic, and as soon as I saw it, I wanted to use it on every float. There's a really great one from in-game that uses Queen Splash inside one of them. It just looks so cute. But I thought if I put two together, we can make a bit of a hourglass, and then we can have him hanging out in the hourglass, and that'll look cute, and it'll give you a reason for being on the float, and makes sense to me. I originally put him in the bottom of the hourglass and had some sort of sand falling down, and then I showed my partner Ali, and she went, "Oh, it's like Jasmine in Aladdin," and I was like, "Yeah, it is." And he was like, "He's getting trapped by the sand," and I was like, "Oh no, that's not good." So we swapped it around. So now he's in the top half, and all the sand has fell down, and that makes a lot more sense to me. So adding in some wisteria, a lot of planting, or at least fake planting, gets used in these things. This was very much inspired by the Madrigal floats at a few of the newer Disney ones. They have beautiful flowers all over them, and kind of wanted to break up this sort of plexiglass rock work, but I think it just turned out great. And here's some glamour shots of it. I actually added some books to it. I needed a little bit more clutter at the front there. I don't have any footage of that, unfortunately, but really happy with how this came out. And this is the kind of level of highly themed float I would like you to expect for Meanderville. The reason I say that is because now we're moving on to something a little low budget. So now we're moving into the park where I just lay out all the scenery. That's the other video that's gone out today. And this is for I'm not too sure what to say here now. This is for a project for Frontier themselves, and they didn't tell me that I couldn't talk about it, but I don't imagine it's going to be ready by the time you see this. They basically asked content creators to come up with some floats based on a list that they provided, and one of the ones that wasn't taken was Western. And I thought, I could maybe have a go at a Western float, and I played around for a little bit, and I came up with this idea of doing a King Coaster Mount Rushmore. Now, I know that Mount Rushmore actually is in a fairly lush environment. Like, there's a lot of trees around and stuff. I think it's maybe what you would call taiga, I guess, sort of biome. But when I think of America and I think of Western, I think of deserts and cacti and that sort of stuff. So it's a Mount Rushmore in the location of the Grand Canyon, I guess. And I'm I'm pretty happy with how this came out, although this isn't what I ended up sending to Frontier for a couple of reasons. One, this is clearly a much lower budget float. Obviously, my head canon here is that thing's made out of paper mache, and this is perhaps the sort of thing you would see on a like a local parade, the sort of a local town's parade. This is not really something that happens in the UK, but I've since seen many of these in Canada, and I know they have them all across America as well. Local towns will usually do one for perhaps Independence Day or here Canada Day. Obviously there's parades that happen with for things like Pride Month and stuff, but this is more sort of like municipal, I guess, and they're usually put together for, like I say, either the town's anniversary or something like Independence Day or something like that, or and they're usually local businesses and local companies and governments will put floats together, and you'll get a couple of floats like this where people have really kind of gone to town, but you can still kind of see what you're looking at. This is a trailer. This would most likely just be pulled along by a truck rather than being powered itself. But, you know, it's all put together with cheap wood and paper mache and hopes and dreams. That's kind of what I was going for here, and I think it turned out pretty good. So I wanted to share the footage with you because I think it's important to show that a lot of the time with Planet Coaster, yes, the stuff that comes with the game, the stuff that they produce is usually aimed towards a much higher budget, and obviously the scale that it's all at, the bright colors and all of that sort of stuff lends itself very much to a big scale. I wanted to show that this sort of stuff is possible on a smaller scale as well, okay? So that's all I got to. The plan was to have an animatronic cowboy, not an animatronic, a sort of cowboy standing, and I was going to use a rotating piece to maybe try and make like a lasso, bit of rope go around his head. I realized afterwards that it wasn't really right for this project, because this, I assume, as far as Frontier are concerned, this project is to sort of showcase their new feature, but also it's a possibility of me putting some stuff in front of new faces if it's something that they share themselves. So I thought, no, I need to try and up the ante a little bit here. Those sort of cheesy, low-budget local town fates are fantastic, and there's exactly the sort of thing I would build. I actually kind of love the idea of doing a parade that is to that sort of scale, so it's just, you know, lots of Ford 150s with Christmas lights strung over the hoods, you know, that kind of thing. I think that would be quite fun to do in the game. But this is meant to be a bit more of a showcase of the new stuff and a showcase of me as a creator. So I was like, no, it's not good enough. It's not big enough scale. It's not fancy enough. What else can we do? And I none of the sort of themes really sort of spoke to me. But then I went through the mascots and reminded myself about Cosmic Cow and how just utterly ridiculous it is as a mascot, this cow that's jumping around on its own udder to advertise milkshakes. And I kind of fell in love with her all over again and decided that I want to do a ridiculous, over-the-top, garish float for Cosmic Cow. So that's what we're working on here. No real inspiration. As you can probably imagine, there aren't many milkshake brand cow parade floats to look at in real life, so no real inspiration here, but I have tried to do this a little bit more in a Nickelodeon and Universal style of parade float as opposed to the Disney ones. The Disney ones have a lot of beautiful sort of filigree and detail, but the Universal Nickelodeon ones are a lot sort of chunkier, rely a lot more on brand recognition and bright colors and big sort of chunky set pieces. So that's kind of what I'm trying to go for here. I felt like that fit Cosmic Cow a little bit more, and I also really wanted to have a play with the platforms, the motion platforms here. Then it's not something I use a ton of in my park currently. I may see myself adding more of them in there. We have those event points that guests can trigger. I think that's quite a fun idea of having. I'm thinking Meanderville would fit the magic wand thing that Universal Studios does for their Wizarding World. I could see that kind of thing running through the park where you press a button and something in the window happens, the shop window happens. Like that seems like it would totally fit something like Meanderville. So I do think I want to go around and have a play with those. But for the most part, I haven't really used these anywhere near as much as, obviously there's people like Taggy and Fog doing incredible stuff with them, but I haven't really used them anywhere near as much as I probably should. And I thought this might be a good opportunity to mess around with them, see how they work with floats, because one of the big parts of floats in these parades, especially the higher budget ones, is movement. They have a lot of moving parts. They have rotating things, wobbling things, things that move up and down. And I think that was a good excuse to sort of try and get my head around these a little bit and make use of some of the new pieces. Those two little lumps there, they're part of the new mythology stuff for parades, and they're just like piles of sand, but they're recolorable, and I think they're great for all sorts of things. I'm sure there's something to be said about the lack of sort of organic shapes in the game and how useful they can be. Here, really good trick this, you have to place a column down on the same axis of the thing you're building, and then you're able to snap to the column, because you can't snap to the rotating platform for some reason. But if you put the rotating platform snap to a column, and then any pieces you add to the platform, if you snap those to the column as well, you'll know they'll be in the middle of the platform. Especially for rotating, it's really important. So yeah, that's what that column was there that then disappeared. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this. Just kind of wanted to get real wacky with it, really over the top, really garish. Obviously this incredible pink and yellow color scheme is fantastic. And then once I started playing around with the rotating pieces and the moving them up and down pieces, I kind of got the idea of doing a sort of big milkshake machine with the milkshake fluid sort of sloshing around inside it. So then we actually went over to a lot of the aquatic pieces, is what you're looking at here, and sort of fleshed it out again in this gorgeous pink and yellow. I just wanted it to be so like garish and Nickelodeon and 90s, and I think it turned out pretty well. I think with a little bit more time, I would probably tweak that central cylinder there so that the milkshake doesn't completely disappear and just moves up and down a little less. Like, it's quite an extreme movement it's doing there. Like, it's literally emptying and filling up again. So if you think of that as like a solid piece of perspex inside the clear that's just moving up and down, it wouldn't have anywhere to go. It actually goes lower than the float. So there's a little issue there where you have to suspend your belief a little, but there's only one sort of length on the platform, so you have to get into that multiple rotating platforms working against each other to create smaller movements. Taggy has videos on that sort of stuff, but it's a little out of my comfort zone, especially for something like this that is just like a single one-off build that I'm sending off to somebody else to mess around with. So yeah, I had a lot of fun doing it. Thinking about that when I was doing that up and down motion, and it reminded me of these optical illusions that I've been around for a long time, I think. But now I'm seeing them 3D printed a lot, so I see them a lot more. It's a cool project to 3D print. It's basically a spiral, or a helix, I guess is probably the better term, that turns around, but the effect is that it looks like it's moving up and down into a space that it isn't there. It has to be very smooth to work. I've seen them where they have a ball in them as well. I wanted to see what that looked like. I didn't like it though. It has to be very smooth to work, and because of the pieces we're using here and not being able to line it up sort of exactly, it looks okay. I don't think it quite sort of tricks the eye like the illusion does in real life. You can tell me afterwards when you see the glamour shots whether it does or not. But even though it doesn't necessarily trick the eye, it's still just a cool looking effect. And it's these parade floats, especially these higher budget ones, it's all just about movement, kinetic energy, bright colors, and lights as well. So this is the first one I played around with lights. I did originally start to light up the Meanderville parade floats, but I realized afterwards that most big parks don't really have a parade that runs in the daytime and then runs again at nighttime with lights on it. They're usually completely different parades. So I think I'm going to have a go at doing a second one that is just for nighttime. And what I would like to do is readjust how the water area behind the carousel works in Meanderville, make it larger, and actually try and do an electric... what's the name of it? The light show that happens at the end of Magic Kingdom across the lake as you're leaving. There's the electric... oh, my word's going to really bug me if I don't think of the name of it. I'm going to have a little look. Water pageant. There we go. The electrical water pageant. So something like that. Still parade floats, though. The electrical water pageant is basically just large, like fences, for want of a better word, with lights on that they're meant to be viewed from a distance. So it won't quite be like that. It will just be a parade. But I like the idea of having it on water. Something like the show at Epcot, where the world comes out, that kind of thing. But design it from the ground up to be mostly lights, or at least very light focused. And we'll probably use some sequences to make the lights flicker and make it look like it's moving. But here we go, with a little bit of that there. You see the lights under the UFO there, who's trying to beam up the cow. I had a lot of fun putting all this sort of stuff together. I'll just go back to the Meanderville floats for a second while I say thank you so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Lots more to come from Planet Coaster. This is absolutely lit a fire in my belly. So more parade stuff and more just from Meanderville in general very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Love you all to bits. Till the next one. Be good.